Hello and welcome everyone to the Fire Emblem E3 showcase for Saga of Spirits Aeon Compass. My name is Lucky and I will be presenting some of the core features of the game as well as one of the early chapters to you. The game takes place in Eridell, a continent split into 3 major countries. There's currently a famine spreading across the entire continent. The game follows a young man called Farron and his band of thieves. Lord Malik, a foreign general who now occupies the land, is heavily taxing the lands on top of it, as well as hiring bandits to extort them. Farron and his gang of thieves, hired by a mysterious mage, seek to steal an odd artifact that Lord Malik holds dear. In this showcase, we will show off Chapter 3, which throws the group right into the fortress of Lord Malik himself. Chapter 3, An Ignoble Venture. Alright, our group split up into 2 halves, leaving us with only 3 characters. And as you could see, the tip talked about patrolling enemies, which I will get into in a bit. But for now, let's take a look at the units. First up is Farron, our lord, who is a charming and charismatic young man who yearns for a restored Galicia. Farron himself comes with 2 skills, the first one being Heart of the Pack, as you can see right now, and the other one being Dash, which I will get into in a bit. His personal weapon is Fortuna, which inflicts some debuffs after combat and gives you access to the personal skill Light Rend. It is also effective against mages. As you can see, Light Rend costs 7 SP, which is just a mechanic for special moves, like Light Rend in this case, as you can imagine. There's plenty of skills that cost SP, and you regain a natural amount of SP per turn. Now, as you can see, we can steal the Vulnerary from the soldier, which in this game is a completely free action. So we can still attack, and we can still use Light Rend, and we can still dash. Dash is a skill that Farron has at this point, which costs him a few SP and lets him move a bit further after ending his turn, and also move through enemies. Next up is Dalthus, a former Mercertan soldier, an amateur at magic, but surprisingly talented. And Dalthus is a Void Mage, which comes with the skill Augment. Augment is something completely unique to this game and is a core mechanic, because augmenting lets you spend HP to improve the Void Tome's effects incrementally. Flux, augmented, grants +2 might and +5 hit per level. And Repulse grants you +2 def and res, and knocks back the target 1 space per level. These stack infinitely as long as you have the HP for it. Dalthus comes with 2 more skills, Drawback and Unstoppable, which is his personal skill. As you can see, when augmenting, every 4 HP you get 1 level of augment, which, as I said, can scale infinitely. In this case, letting you go even into the minus, though I wouldn't recommend it. Because ideally you do want your units to survive a bit more. Next up is our 3rd unit, Clay, who is an archer. Clay comes with 2 skills, Reposition and Forester, which is her personal skill. It makes it so that forest and ticket tiles only cost 1 movement, and she gains enhanced crit and hit on forest tiles. She starts with an iron bow and an iron longbow, letting her attack over 2 to 3 range even, but also giving her less speed. Which some weapons do, as you can see with the steel lance here. And as you can see, also other weapons like the javelin have extra effects, like that it cannot double at 2 range. To make the 1-2 range weapons generally more balanced than they were originally in the GBA games. So, as you can see there, we had units patrolling around. What we want to do with these patrolling units to move every turn is to not be engaged on enemy phase by them. Because if we are, that means they are going to call in reinforcements. Attacking them on player phase is completely fine, we just need to take him out in time. As you can see, by augmenting and reducing our HP to 10 here, we are able to one-round the soldier here with 1 hit of flux due to the increased might we got from augmenting. As you can see here, a light rend, which lets us target the enemy's res, does slightly more damage, allowing us to chip the soldier a bit more, making it easier for us to kill him in the next move. And allowing us to take the key he has, since, as you can see, it's a droppable item. Also, daggers inflict debuffs, like in Fire Emblem Fates here, which you can see by the reduced stats in the personal data menu. As you can see, due to the reduced speed from the iron longbow, Clay is not able to double at 3 range, even though she's usually able to double at 2 range. This is done to just balance 2 to 3 bows a bit more. So, as you can see, Farron noticed a room that's locked off and guarded, implying that the treasure that we are looking for might be in there, so this is where our group will primarily be heading now. Now we can show off Dalthus' personal skill, which lets him double at 1 range, even with his Dark Tomes, as long as his strength is higher than the enemy's. Also, as you can see, similarly to stealing, opening doors and chests with Farron is a completely free action, which lets him still attack afterwards, making it easy to chip down the soldier here with the iron daggers. Now that we have obtained the door key, we can continue further and open the doors in our ways with no problems. As you can see, the patrols mostly move on fixed routes, which allow us to more or less avoid them for the most part and engage them when it works well for us, without being spotted. Also, as before, after opening a chest or stealing from someone, you can also use dash on Farron to let him move a bit more, kind of like a mini Kanto even. And here's another skill used by Clay, Reposition, which is basically exactly the same as it is in Fire Emblem Heroes, letting you just move one unit one space, more or less, over you. And here we use dash again and move a bit further. This mage comes with a Thunder Tome, which is just a basic thunder spell. However, it is much more powerful when used in wet environments, which is also something unique to this game. Different elemental magics have different effects depending on the environment, which lets them increase their might, their area of effect, or similar things like that. Now, as evidenced before, Fortuna is effective against mages. So Farron is quite easily able to take out the mage here due to the ×3 increased damage. And Clay can just reposition him here. And Dalton can also just draw back Clay, which also works exactly the same as it does in Fire Emblem Heroes, letting you grab a unit and yoink them back one field. So now we can let Clay chip on the soldier here, and Clay reaches level 5. Which means she gets a new skill, which in this case is Opportunist. Every class and every character gain a new skill at level 5 and level 15, depending on their respective classes. In this case, Opportunist, which is the level 5 skill, which I will show off in a bit. Opportunist lets you gain +5 damage if the unit attacks an enemy who cannot counterattack. So for example, if Clay as an archer attacks an enemy at 2 range who only has a 1 range weapon, she gains a flat +5 damage. So now what we can do, we can augment repulse in order to knock back the soldier 2 spaces here, since we augmented twice. This does work on stationary bosses as well, for the most part, which leads to some very funny strats, if you try to experiment with augmenting a bit. And as we open the door to the treasure vault, the soldiers and patrols just keep on doing their thing, letting us freely advance there, or maybe let us take out 1 or 2 more units before we go. As you can see here, since the soldier is unable to counterattack Clay, Clay just gets a flat +5 to her attack, letting her more or less take him out in 1 shot. So now Farron got the Eon Compass, which you may recognize from the game's title. And we get greeted to a new character, who is Lord Malik himself. The one who originally stole the artifact, and who we have to really get away from now, because Lord Malik is an experienced general and thus fairly dangerous in combat. But thankfully he leaves us alone for now. And the retrieval of the Aeon Compass turns this chapter into an escape map, which means we need to get all our units out of there or else they will die. As you can see, the other half of the squad, which consists of 3 more characters that I will introduce in a bit, noticed that there was something going on due to Malik's scream after he saw Farron. So what we are going to do now is just try to make our escape as the patrol attacks Dalthus and gets doubled due to his personal skill and taken out. This also lets Dalthus reach level 5 as a Blight Mage, which gives us a new skill, which is Fervor, and a door key. So lots of things happening here. As you can see, the reinforcements close in on us, and we also get reinforcements of our own. 3 characters you saw earlier, which I will introduce to you now. But first off, I will show you Dalthus' personal new skill, which is Fervor. For every 4 health lost, you gain an additional 1 strength and magic. As you can see in this case, since Dalthus is missing 6 HP, he got 1 strength and 1 magic. Now to the new guys. Let's start off with Kalia. Kalia is a level 3 cavalier, focusing on swords generally. Her personal skill is Impulse Rush, which lets her gain +1 speed for each 2 tiles she moves. She starts with an Iron Sword and a Life Staff. Next up is Basili. Basili is also a cavalier, focusing more on lances. He is the responsible older brother of the crew and generally considered very dependable by everyone else around him. His skills are Stalwart Gauge, which adds +1 defense for each 2 times moved, and Charge, which adds the distance moved -2 to his damage when attacking. Last up is Morna. Morna is more or less the surrogate mother to Farron's crew and a former member of the Grand Church. Her skills are Miracle, which lets her survive a fatal blow if she starts with over 75% of her HP. Blessed. Enhance, which is a special thing for light magic, which lets you spend SP to increase an Ether Tome's area of effect, also depending on the Ether Tome itself. And last but not least, Protector's Delight, which is her personal skill, which lets allies within 3 squares receive -2 damage taken. She starts with a Shine Tome and a Man Staff and is a pre-promoted Valkyrie. So now that we have the Aeon Compass, it gives us an extra status, which increases 1 stat based on the affinity you have. In case of Farron, he has the Light affinity, which gives him extra luck through the Aeon Compass. So now that we have 3 more units, we can work on taking out these enemies in order to make our escape safely. And using a light run, we can take out the Cavalier in this case, since his res is noticeably lower than his defense. And as you can see, due to Basili's Earth affinity, the Aeon Compass gives him a defense stat up instead of a luck stat up that Farron got. Morina's Shine Tome, we can take out this soldier fairly easily, since Morina is a way more experienced fighter and thus way more stronger than the rest of the group. So with the 2 augmented hits, we can knock back the soldier 2 spaces, as you can see here. Which also shows that the knockback from repulse does work per attack. And does not limit the range, so if you knock someone out of your range, the second attack will still hit him. However, the augment itself, as you can see right there, only works on player phase. On enemy phase, since Dalthus went back to using the Flux Tome, the augment level was lost. And here, using Clay's Iron Longbow, we can take out the soldier guarding that room. And that gives us a chest key. Now, with the door key left over from earlier, Dalthus can go open the door to that room, and Farron can go take out the mage with his Fortuna next. Now all that's left is to dispatch the enemy left over here with Morana. And that lets us move forward without having a fear of being boxed in by multiple enemies. So by trading around the key, we can use Morna to open the door to that room over there, letting us get closer to the armor knight and the chest. Using Dorthus, we can also open the chest here, which gives us a free staff, which freezes an enemy in place for 1 turn, but it only targets enemies with lower res than the user's magic. After Kalea rescued Farron, we can go drop him off here and use a life steal since she got hit earlier, letting us recover a tiny bit of HP, making it a bit safer for us the following turn. So now we have a new big problem on the field, which is Lord Malik himself, who is an experienced general and carries the Silver Lance, and as you can see is a level 5 Halberger. He's a noble leading the Westfold occupation effort. He's vicious and cruel. He comes with crit plus 15 and Luna, which is a combat art that halves the enemy's defense and res. As you can see, his stats are fairly high, so it is recommended not to engage him in combat since Lord Malik is quite a dangerous foe. So, Clay can take out the Armor Knight here, which also gives her another level up. And next Morna can go open the chest here for a Karn, which is a dagger that gives you speed and skill -2 after combat, but lets you double when you initiate. Now we have to be a bit careful before opening the door, as this cavalier might be able to attack us, but the way we position Farron, this won't be a problem. And now that he got level 5, he also learned a new skill called Smokescreen. And with Lightrin in the crit, we can take out the Armor Knight here. So now we just grab Clay with Kalea, and we grab Dalthus with Basili, and try to make our way out of the danger. Since there are cavaliers approaching from both the north and the side, one of them attacking Farron here. And since we were engaged by a patrol unit, reinforcements arrive. Now, the next thing we're going to show off is the enhanced mechanic for Ether Tomes, which for Shine gives you an extra space of AoE per level, but also -1 might. But by enhancing the Shine 3 times, we get an extra 3 range, which lets us use the first hit's AoE on all of the enemies there to chip them down, and due to the second attack of Morna, lets us take out one of the cavaliers. Basili can now take out one of the other cavaliers, letting us move further. Kalea can drop off Clay in safety, and Farron can move right behind, leaving only Basili and Morna in the danger for now, especially with Farron's dash skill. As you can see, Morna quickly dispatched one of them, and Basili is left with the other. And he gains a level up. Morna can take out the cavalier and gain a level up herself. However, her growths aren't quite as good as the rest due to her being a bit older and more experienced. now it is in our best interest to heal up a bit by trading around the vulneraries from Farron to Clay, and just using the life self here in order to get a bit more HP back, since we have a few more enemies left to take care of before we can make our escape to the south. However, as you can also see, Malik is slowly but surely approaching us, which means we are in danger. With a combination of Clay and Basili, we can take out at least one of the Cavaliers this turn, which gives us a bit more breathing room before the rest approaches from the back. And of course, before Malik approaches from the north. Current Flight Rune and Fortuna also lets us chip down the other Cavalier, enough for Kalia to take him out in this turn with her Iron Sword. As you can also see, Kalia and Basili, while both being Cavaliers, are a bit different in their stats. Kalia is a bit more focused on speed and skill, while Basili is more focused on strength and defense, letting him do mostly only one but strong hit, while Kalia can do multiple lighter hitting ones. So now, using Basili, we can drop off Dolphus here, which gives us access to one important thing. Because we can trade the freeze staff that he obtained earlier to Morena, which lets us freeze Malik in place. That simply gives us one more turn of breathing room, allowing everyone to slowly but surely make their escape since he cannot move right now. But he also cannot avoid enemy attacks while being petrified, so theoretically, but just theoretically, you could use this to try and take him down. More reinforcements are coming, the Cavalier is near us, but we can, thankfully, make our escape with everyone now. And now, all that's left is to escape with Farron, our lord, in order to finish the chapter and get away from Lord Malik himself. And with this successful mission, I thank you for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed this showcase of Chapter 3 of Saga of Spirits Aeon Compass. So, if you want to see updates on the game, I recommend checking out the Fire Emblem Universe thread, which will be updated more or less regularly. Thank you for sticking around to the end, and I will let the chapter run out now, letting you see the last bit of dialogue.